Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. Today we are going to start with reaction which is called as acid base reaction. Okay, that is we are going to see how acid reacts with base. Okay, now let's just see how it is. Okay, so what happens when acid reacts with base? Let's see. Okay, what happens when acid reacts with base? Let's see the general equation, guys. Okay, general equation. Okay, what happens when acid reacts with base? Okay, when acid reacts with base, you get is what, guys? Salt and water. This we have already seen in our previous video, but just like what it is basically in detail is what we are going to talk about today. Okay, what happens when acid reacts with base? Okay, acid when reacts with base, what you get is what? Salt and water. Okay, now what happens? Let's see the example. Okay, acid means what? HCl, aqueous. Base is what, guys? NaOH, which is what? Sodium hydroxide, hydrochloric acid, sodium hydroxide. What you get is always what I said, just divide it into ions. Okay, divide it into ions means whenever it is going to dissolve, or it is basically in a dissolved state, then that is going to dissociate. Acid is going to dissociate into ions, that is H plus Cl minus Na plus NOH minus. Okay, and just like I said, it is when you are just bifurcating it into ions, then it becomes easy to plus minus is going to attract. So that's how you get to know the reaction which you have written is right. Okay, by the time obviously you have done the reaction ample amount of time, so but just sometimes like in our exam we are so stressed, so just to remember, just write it with the pencil, just positive negative, so positive negative will attract. So what happens, this H and OH will attract, and what you get is what? Water. Okay, it's liquid. Fine. And what you see, you got water. What is left? NaCl, which is salt. Okay, let's see the reaction. Acid when reacts with base, what you get is salt and water. HCl, hydrochloric acid, acid. Okay, NaOH, which is base, then what you get is what? Salt, sodium chloride and water. Okay, fine, understood. So let's see whether the reaction is balanced. Okay, if somehow I missed the balancing part, then I'll make it in the video. Okay, fine. So H2. Okay, now always check, guys, in both the reactants. Okay, now what I did is H, it's H2. Oh, I need to balance. No, it's not like that. See, H, here it is also H. So it's 2. So it's balanced. Okay, now oxygen, O, balance. Chloride, 1, balance. So everything is balanced. You need not to balance it. Okay, make sure you check both the reactants. Okay, as well as both the products while balancing. Okay, so HCl reacts with NaOH, we get is what? Salt and water. Okay, so what happens when acid reacts with base? Okay, why it is called neutralization reaction as well? Why? Okay, acid is reacting with base. It is called as what? It is called as acid base reaction. It is called as what, guys? Acid base reaction. It is called acid base reaction. Then it is also called neutralization reaction. Why so? Let's see. Okay, acid, base. These are like strong acid and strong base. What happens when strong acid, strong base, okay, when it reacts with each other, or generally when acid reacts with base, what happens is basically when acid reacts with base, what happens? The acidic property of acid and basic property of base, what happens? It mixes with each other and it neutralizes. Okay, it becomes neutral. The acidic property and basic property combine with each other. The acid and base reacts with each other and it gets neutralized. Okay, it's neutralized. and you get this neutral product, which is what? Sodium chloride. Hence it is also called as neutralization reaction, because acidic property goes, base property goes, neutral thing is formed. Okay, hence it is called as neutralization reaction. Why? Because the acidic property and basic property goes. Okay, and hence what you get, the product is what? Neutral product, which is what? Salt. Hence it is also called as what, guys? Neutralization reaction. Why neutralization? Because acidic property and basic property just mixes with each other and you get a neutral product. So neutralization reaction has been. Okay, now one more thing is there. It is also called as exothermic reaction. Why so, guys? It is called as exothermic reaction. Okay, why it is called exothermic reaction? Okay. Okay. Why it is called exothermic reaction? Because when acid and base reacts with each other, you know, guys, what happens? The test tube in which you're performing this reaction, that is acid-base reaction, if at all you're performing in beaker, if at all you're performing in a test tube, what happens, you know, guys? The test tube become warm. Why it become warm? Because the reaction is exothermic reaction. Okay. What is exothermic reaction? The exothermic reaction is a reaction where heat is given out. Okay. What is exothermic reaction? The reaction wherein heat is given out. Okay. Now, has this reaction, the heat is given out. Hence, what happens? Your test tube become warm. Okay. It becomes warm. Hence, it is called as what? Exothermic reaction as well. Okay, why it is called exothermic reaction? Because the apparatus, you can say, or the beaker or the test tube in which you are performing this acid-base reaction or neutralization reaction, what happens, that test tube or that beaker becomes warm. Okay, which indicates that it's an exothermic reaction. Okay, and what is exothermic reaction? The reaction where heat is given out, and as the reaction in which heat is given out, because of which the reaction is called as exothermic reaction. Okay, so hence it is called as what? Exothermic reaction. Why? Because heat is given out, and because of the heat is given out in the reaction, the test tube or the beaker becomes warm. Okay, so it is called as exothermic reaction. Excuse me. Acid when reacts with base, what you get is, guys, salt and water. Reaction we see is hydrochloric acid when reacts with sodium chloride, you get hydrochloric acid when reacts with sodium hydroxide, you get is sodium chloride and water, that is salt and water. This reaction is also called as what? Acid-base reaction. This reaction is also called as a neutralization reaction. Why? Because the acid-basic property gets, you know, it mixes with each other and you form a neutral product. Hence it is called as a neutralization reaction. And it's also called as exothermic reaction because heat is given out in the reaction. Okay, so it is called as what? Exothermic reaction. Understood?